Okay, welcome to the deep dive. You sent us, well, quite a stack of sources about someone who's really captured the spotlight, Cillian Murphy. And our mission seems clear, doesn't it? Look past that massive fame and try to find the person.
That's exactly it. I mean, for so many people, 2023 was suddenly the year they figured out how to say Cillian, that old Irish name. Oppenheimer just dominated everything.
Right, 13 Oscar nominations, Golden Globe win. He's achieved this peak visibility.
But here's the thing, he's still incredibly reserved. Like, you could say he's more famous than he is actually well-known. That's the paradox we're digging into.
Absolutely. He has this uncanny knack for just disappearing into his characters.
Mm-hmm.
And our sources, mostly that fantastic 60 Minutes piece,
Yeah.
they give us a kind of map, to find the man behind that intensity.
So yeah, over the next little while, we're going to unpack his Irish roots, which seem foundational, look at his acting philosophy, which is pretty high stakes, and explore those really intense, sometimes kind of chaotic preparation methods.
Yeah, the prep sounds wild.
It really does. So let's start with home, Ireland, because that identity seems to be everything for him.
It was striking, wasn't it, how simple his take on it is. When asked about Ireland, he doesn't wax poetic about, the rolling hills or history. He just says, it's defined who I am as a person and my values. It's just home.
It's just bedrock, pure foundation. And you see why when the sources mention his surroundings, like the Dingle Peninsula, named for a goddess, apparently, a place where stories have been passed down, like by ear, for 6,000 years, that sense of narrative continuity, it feels like it's just in him.
And that respect for stories, it directly feeds into his main tool, which he says is empathy. He specifically connects reading novels to learning empathy because, well, you're putting yourself into somebody else's point of view. That's where the acting starts, it seems.
And that really lifts his idea of art to, a very high standard. He talks about great art, a movie, a book, a song, whatever, as something that can genuinely change a life. Or, just make someone feel seen or heard.
Hold on, that's really important, isn't it? It links his life and values directly to the work. It's not just about technique for him.
Not at all. It's about the emotional payload, maybe. And what's really fascinating is how he draws this completely straight line from just hanging out in an Irish pub, listening to trad music, just a regular guy with a pint, all the way to starring in something massive like Oppenheimer.
It's like a continuum of art.
Exactly. He sees it all coming from the same place, a kind of communal form of expression. The pub musician, the big movie star, they're doing the same basic thing, expressing the human condition. It's quite a refusal to separate the craft from the fame, maybe.
Which leads us right into that key partnership, the one that really put him into this global stratosphere, Christopher Nolan. 6 films together.
Yeah, and their relationship is built on just this incredible, rare level of trust. You see, because Murphy basically said, yeah, I'll do Oppenheimer before he'd read a single word.
Just like that.
Just like that. Pure trust in Nolan. He said that kind of risk, that leap of faith, it's always paid off for him.
Wow. Taking on arguably the biggest role of his life, a figure like Oppenheimer, totally blind. That's more than trust. That's like career Russian roulette.
Well, yeah. But then look at the script he eventually got.
Right, the sources mention this.
It wasn't just a script. Oppenheimer himself was introduced with this phrase, more riddle than answer.
More riddle than answer. And the detail about the ink.
Oh, yeah, that word riddle, specifically printed in red ink so it couldn't be photocopied. Think about that.
What does that tell you? That level of secrecy around one word.
It suggests the goal wasn't just to portray the historical facts, right? It was about embodying this philosophical puzzle. Nolan didn't want an answer. He wanted Murphy to live inside the question, the ambiguity.
And Murphy got it instantly, called it one of the greatest screenplays he'd ever read.
Which, of course, demanded this insane commitment. The prep.
The physical side alone sounds brutal. Losing 28 pounds for that silhouette, that sort of gaunt, haunted look.
Yeah, and that physical transformation went hand in hand with 6 months of just intense mental prep. Reading everything, listening to Oppenheimer's actual lectures.
And practicing on the beach for his dog, Scout. I love that detail.
Slightly absurd, isn't it? Just him, the beach, and the dog. But it speaks to the dedication.
The sources also give us these great little stories about Nolan's directing style, which sounds very much like, okay, figure it out.
Oh, the Dutch language story is perfect.
Yeah.
So Murphy notices Oppenheimer gives a lecture in Dutch in the script.
Right.
So he goes to Nolan and asks, Chris, he speaks Dutch here. What are we going to do about that?
And Nolan's response?
Classic Nolan. He apparently just replied, "You mean what you were going to do about that? Complete ownership toss. It's your problem now, actor. Solve it."
That kind of pressure cooker.
Hmm.
You'd think it would make an actor lock everything down, plan every beat. But Murphy does the opposite.
Exactly. After all that intense research, he throws it away, essentially. He relies purely on instinct. He actually calls it his most powerful tool.
Instinct, meaning what exactly in this context?
Being totally present, it seems. He says nothing should be predetermined. He loves, and this is a great phrase, being buffeted by the wind and being buffered by emotion. He wants to be open to whatever happens in the scene.
That vulnerability. Emily Blunt, his co-star, she nailed it. Called him very visceral.
Yes.
Said he can, kidnap you in a scene when he's fully in it.
And that visceral quality, that ability to just react and be present, that's what let him tackle that incredibly complex post-bomb speech.
Ah, yeah. The moment of triumph and dread.
Right. Blunt pointed out how he managed to somehow weld together being proud of the achievement and simultaneously regretting it very deeply, all in the same moment. He plays the contradiction, the human riddle.
So where did that fire come from, that commitment to the visceral, the immediate? Let's trace it back. Cork, Ireland. Mother's a teacher, father's a school inspector.
And his route into acting was, well, indirect. Started with music, a band with his brother. That somehow led him to acting classes.
And the big pivot, dropping out of law school.
Yeah. For his very first play, Disco Pigs, back in '96, he was only 20. And the venue says it all described as being the size of a storage room. This wasn't exactly the Royal Shakespeare Company.
No, it sounds like pure chaos.
Yeah.
But he says that chaos was the best training ground.
He has this amazing memory he shared. Learning to use the energy from drunk guys literally bashing up against the fire escape door while they were trying to perform.
Instead of blocking it out, he fed off it.
Exactly. That kind of danger, that raw, unpredictable energy, he says it makes theater absurd and totally addictive because it could just fall apart any second. That responsiveness, it's the same instinct he uses now.
And that ability to just dive deep into a world, get lost in it.
Yeah.
That obviously continued with Thomas Shelby in Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Huge role for him starting in 2013.
Such a compelling character, described as a sympathetic, relatable monster.
Monster you kind of root for.
Well, yeah. And the key to Shelby, the sources suggest, was his experience in World War I. He came back fundamentally changed.
How so?
He was basically not afraid of death. Having faced the worst, nothing else could really touch him in the same way. Which, allowed him to commit to these incredibly risky, often brutal actions. It mirrors Murphy's own total commitment to his roles, in a way.
Speaking of commitment over the long haul, this brings us to that piece of industry wisdom he picked up, the 30-year rule.
Ah, yeah. Apparently heard it from a director, maybe Sidney Pollack. The idea that it takes 30 years to make an actor.
30 years. What does that even mean? It's not just about getting better technically, is it?
No, not just technique or racking up credits. It's about maturing as a human being.
So to play that complexity we were talking about, like Oppenheimer's regret and pride, you actually have to have lived a bit, grappled with life's messy stuff yourself.
Precisely. It's this idea that, by the time you're 3 decades in, you've banked all this life experience, and maybe, just maybe, only then can you become a truly okay actor. It reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? Not a sprint to fame, but a lifelong marathon of development.
But choosing that path, committing that deeply, especially with his immersive style, it clearly takes a toll. We mentioned the Oppenheimer weight loss.
And Eileen Walsh, who was his partner in that very first play, Disco Pigs, she notes that the cost gets higher the deeper you go. She remembered their warm-ups for that show involved, punching each other pretty hard.
Seriously?
Yeah, this need for a massive ball of velocity and intensity. It's physically and emotionally draining, that level of immersion.
So you have to wonder, how do you sustain that? Where does the resilience come from?
Well, Walsh also offered the other side of that coin. She believes that kind of intense work ethic, it can only really be rooted in joy.
Joy. Even with the pain.
Yeah, even if it takes a lot of pain to access it. It's the fundamental pleasure of expression, of connecting. It loops right back to his definition of great art, right? Making people feel seen.
And you see that emotional core still driving his choices now. His next film, Small Things Like These.
Right, he plays a character, Bill Furlong, who's tormented by witnessing injustice. And his wife in the story is afraid, his empathy, his feeling things so deeply will basically upend their lives. He keeps picking these roles where feeling deeply has consequences.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the label. The movie star question.
Yeah, someone apparently told him he'd screwed this up by becoming a movie star. As if he should have stayed purely an actor's actor, maybe?
But he pushes back on that.
Hard. He's very clear. I'm just an actor. He admits, sure, maybe you can be both, but he sees movie star as a label other people use. It's for the public, for categorization. It doesn't define his actual job, which stays grounded in the craft, the instinct, those values we talked about.
So, okay, let's pull this together for you, the listener. We've tracked this journey, haven't we? From a man who seems quite reserved, defined by his Irish roots and this deep sense of empathy from literature.
To this incredibly committed actor who literally risks his career on trust and instinct, who embraces this idea that acting isn't about arriving, but about a 30-year process of just becoming more human.
And the real key takeaway seems to be this power in vulnerability, maybe, in being present rather than planning everything out. He thrives on the danger, the absurdity, as he calls it, whether it's using the energy of drunks banging on a door or tackling a character who's a living riddle.
Right. So if instinct really is his most powerful tool, maybe here's a thought to chew on. What parts of your own life, or maybe your work, might actually benefit from a little less rigid planning? Where could you allow yourself to be more vulnerable to that unexpected buffer of emotion?
Where could you maybe afford to be buffeted by the wind a bit more and just see what happens?